we look at the solutions to problem set 21 here, which are on statistics. My weight measured on 5 days was 88 kg, 90 kg, 91 kg, 93 kg, and 91 kg. What was my average over this period? So to compute the average of 5 numbers, we just add them up and divide the total by 5. So if we add them up, we get 453, divide by 5, and we get 90.6. I had 1,125 euros, 2,111 euros, 412 euros, and 2,211 euros over 4 months in my account. How much did I have on average? Well, again, we just add them up to get 5,859 and divide by 4, since we have 4 months, to get 1,464 euros and 75 cents. I sold 2 items 1 month, then 150, then 1,212, and 14,003. How many did I sell on average? Well, we just add them up to get 15,367 and divide by 4 to get 3,841.75. In this kind of series, where we can clearly see that it's increasing, so it began with 2, then it jumped to 150, then it jumped to 1,212, then to 14,000. There, the static average wouldn't really be that interesting. I'd be more interested in, a moving average, trying to, forecast to go, okay, is that now going to jump to 20,000, or is it going to jump to 100,000? This kind of behavior happens, say for example, when we had smartphones, and we have a series where every month or every quarter the number of smartphones sold was just jumping up and up and up and up. And that seems to have peaked maybe last year. So that is something that maths can't do. We can't forecast when the top is going to be. Likewise, when we were looking at house prices, and house prices were going up and up and up and up, but it's tempting to kind of just project and go, oh, it's going to be next year, it's going to be 10 times higher, and in the year after it's going to be 50 times higher, and so on. But that never happens. Or that if that series, that rate of rapid growth were to keep going, so even if you look at smartphones, if the rate of growth were to keep going, then we'd end up with the crazy situation where 99% of the world's economy would be about smartphones. That just wouldn't make sense. So the typical expression used when people are looking at the stock market and stuff is, trees don't grow to the sky. So just to finish up, so that's the average. Next, we look at the other measures of central tendency, as they call it, what the typical thing is. So how could we determine the typical hair color in a class? Well, we can't use the average since we're not dealing with a number. You know, what would it mean to add brown, black, blonde, red, divide that by 4? We could use rough bands like black, blonde, brown and red, and then just use these. So count how many people would be best described by one of those. You know, so we don't have a precise definition there. We can kind of count which is the best describer. So then we can just use the mode, since the mode doesn't need things to be numbers. So we could just see which of our colors the most students had. So we just count. Now we do have a number. How many people have black hair? How many people have blonde hair? And so on. And the mode is the color which the most people have. And it doesn't have to be unique. So if you have, you know, joint top at blonde and brown, well then the mode is blonde and brown. But the power is the fact that we're no longer restricted to, you know, a number. So think of an example where we'd want the median as opposed to the mean. Why would they differ? So remember, the median is the number where you have as many which are higher than it as you have lower than it. So the classic example is wealth, where we could take about how we are going, or how we are on average getting richer. But this disguises the fact that most of this increase is going to the top 1%. The median looks at the person who has as many people richer as less well off than them. And so it's not affected as much by extreme events. It produces a more typical person figure. If someone in the class won the lotto, then the average wealth of the class would shoot up, while the median wouldn't. So no one number is going to be able to capture all the information that we have. So we're just trying to be aware of the subtle nuances, the little differences between the numbers. So when you do get someone reporting, you know, particular numbers, you should be aware that, he's using the average. Is he trying to hide, you know, the fact that only a few people are actually getting all the money? Or maybe it was just a random choice. Remember to subscribe to be updated as new content is added. Thanks.